Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. What we are about to watch here is a podcast, Yagasbu Hustler's Corner podcast with DJ Sbu. So he was talking to the guy called, who is it called? Colin Malachi, the ANC president, ANC Youth League president, right? So he's going to be talking about politics as he's a politician anyway. So we're gonna listen to him and listen on what exactly he's going to tell us. Let's dive into the video.
Like you're on 40%, less than 50% as the ANC. How do you feel and what's the way forward?
Look, it's a bad feeling. We've never thought that the ANC will be at that 40%, especially after so many interventions that the ANC has done, to the level of middle class of belt in the country, the access to education and access to service they don't access before. But maybe it's clear that more must be done. A lot of people are complaining about issue of service delivery than in their own areas, even if you've built them houses. But if you're not servicing the roads, if you're not servicing the houses, if you're not servicing storm water, drainages, there's always those problems of water shortages. But also, we went to elections after a long time of load shedding, where there was an energy crisis in South Africa. Now, we understand that it was a difficult call, but we have stuck to our commitment. We've committed to the South Africans that will resolve the energy crisis. And I think all South Africans can see that we're working on it very hard. The damage caused on the energy power stations, the maintenances and all of that have caused so much damage that it was very difficult to just change it overnight. But I can say it's over 100 days since after elections. The people are saying that there's no load shedding because we're going to elections. But now it's over 100 days maybe since after elections. We still have, our lights are still on, it was a difficult one, where the youth revolted. They did not go out and vote. They did not vote for any other political party.
You don't think they went out to vote?
Look, the numbers are saying that we've not reached the number we should have reached voting according to what they've been registered. Now, a lot of young people registered to vote but not go and vote. One, maybe they've been demoralized because they don't know which political party represents their interest, or they believe that it's only the ANC that can resolve their problems and they're angry at the ANC and they're punishing it by protesting with their votes, which I agree that it's only the ANC that can resolve their problems. We've mentioned many issues since the election, the issue of export quotas. We spoke about reindustrialization, that the only way to resolve problems of this country is to reindustrialize the economy. And we can see the Minister of Trade and Industry is speaking about it now, the industrial policy, where we must focus on the industrialization of this country and making sure that we put export quotas in place so that 70% of our raw materials remain in this country to revive all our industries, to create employment, but not only employment, but also business opportunities. Now, we can't have factories closing down in this country when we've got so many raw materials that we're exporting to other countries to revive their economies at the expense of our people.
Now, you were saying the youth didn't go out and vote. What role did the ANC Youth League play to make sure that young people go out there to vote? And what is the lesson with the punishment they've given you?
Look, we've went all out. We've created the campaign of the ANC. Everyone else will see. We've mobilized, we're doing rallies, we've been door-to-doors. We've been pushing departments, NEFSAs to be resolved on urgent basis. We've pushed the Department of Employment and Labor to put aside over 25 billion for skills development of the youth. The low skill 2.5 million young people, which has been pronounced by the president and is in place now. I'm saying we did everything in our power, but we arrived at a time where things were difficult already. We've been elected fresh from conference. We're not just arriving conference or called upon by the president of the country in the General 8 in Mpumalanga that the Youth League must carry these elections. Now, we've never had time to even establish our structures properly. A lot of our structures have been weakened over years. Now, we went to these elections limping, including the ANC Youth League. It was very difficult, to move around. It was a lot of funders not fund African National Congress. Those who are owning means of production went and funded other political parties that wanted them to take the inside of power. They funded any other political party apart from the African National Congress. Now, even the Youth League went to this election without resources. In the past, we'll find that we've raised enough resources to mobilize the youth in all corners. Now, we're operating under difficult conditions. This is one of the most difficult elections the ANC has ever went through. If you have seen, even posters went late. Because in the past, we print our own posters. These past elections were dependent on donation. Donations take long. And
For me, guys, I don't think even if they had posters, they had more time, they had all of these things. I don't think they would have, done well. You know why? Because I believe that the people of South Africa, some of them, they have actually decided in their minds that we were not going to vote. That's one. And number two, those who are going to vote, they told themselves that we are going to vote for something else. They have decided. Even if they did whatever that he thought they would have done, I don't think it could have worked, Because people, guys, you must know one thing. When a group of people decide they are going to do something, they are going to do it. It was worse when MK came in. It was very, very worse, And then people decided, you know what? Anyway, I think we see, especially those who are from KZN and stuff. They were like, no, we're not doing this. We're going to that party, Even if they I can tell you guys, even if they did more what they think they should have done, I don't think it should have worked. Anyway, that is just my opinion.
Most underfunded, if we're according to the party is too big to be underfunded like that. All the small parties were funded apart from the ANC because the agenda was clear: take the ANC out of power. Now the ANC is at 40%. No one does not know what to do. They all come to the ANC. ANC, help us to get out of this problem because now we're in a crisis mood because there's not got a majority to govern. The ANC is at 40%. All these political parties that wanted the ANC out of power are coming to the ANC. The ANC want to govern with you, open our doors. We thought it's going to be easy, this thing, but we're seeing that we're at the verge of plunging the country into a crisis.
And people were saying and feeling a sense of entitlement or ANC kiabona, which it is, right? But a lot of people started feeling like, no, the ANC is selling out.
Yeah, it's a non-racial organization. That is the character of the ANC. It's influenced by building South Africans together. Even pre-1994, we were in power. We were believing in international solidarity. The likes of Oliver Tambo and everyone else went all over the world, mobilizing black, whites, and all nations towards the program of fighting against apartheid and the total liberation of our people. But also the ANC acknowledges that apartheid created a high level of inequalities, which oppressed majority black people. And that's why the ANC, the first thing it did when it got into office was introduce policies that will make it give an advantage to a black nation, black people with former disadvantage, if you want to put it that way, to be able to strive and compete with those that have been given an advantage by an apartheid system, affirmative action, triple BE. I'm saying I can count a lot of policies that have been put in place to assist the process. But the issue of the left, the only left political party is the Communist Party of South Africa. There's no any other left in this country. All of these political parties are funded by the same people who fund the DA to take the ANC out of power. Now, we always say that those ones are more dangerous. That if the DA, you can see there's the name is visible, their policies are announced. We know they don't agree with us on issues. If they walk right, they're walking right. They don't even indicate left. Now they're clear that their job is to reverse the gains of freedom and make sure that they protect the interest of the minorities. The DA is clear. We can see it with all our eyes. But if you go to the other political parties, the EFF and all of that, they walk left and go right. Now, those are the most dangerous people because they look like us and walk like us. But the problem about them is that they have the same interest as the DA to reverse the gains of freedom. But also, no one has been closed out. I think must be clarified. No one has been closed out. When the GNU happened, everyone was invited to the table, including those that don't even have an office.
I want to talk about this thing of they invited everyone. Now, let's just say, for argument's sake, right? A city, maybe they already knew this is just on. Let's just assume, I'm not saying they knew already that they will join with DA, right? But let's just assume that was the case. If they already knew that they will go with the DA, right? And especially if you listen to this video that I am playing right now.
This notion of a government of national unity, this is what Helen Zille says, which he thought would be a better way of selling the concept of coalition to his party. She stated that the agreement is a coalition agreement between the ANC and the DA and not the GNU that is presented in public. In fact, her exact words are, And I quote here, now this, of course, is not a government of national unity, because a government of national unity brings all parties together, which would have to include the EFF and the MK party, which it did not. But it still gave the president the fig leaf he needed to bring in all sorts of smaller parties to say, I'm not in a coalition with the DA. End quote. End quote. And
Now, if that video was true, or if it is true, right, that when Ramaphosa was talking to, or when the president Ramaphosa was talking to Helen Zille, that was the conversation. That means they spoke. Helen Zille said, you know what, I want a coalition, not a GNU, a grand coalition. A grand coalition is between two parties, right? And then I guess maybe, for example, maybe Ramaphosa said, okay, I don't have a problem, but we don't call it a grand coalition, we call it GNU, and then we are going to add the other parties, right? Obviously, the other parties that are important, okay, which is MK and the EFF, they did say that we don't want to work with the DA. Obviously, they are out. Obviously, they knew that the DA and the MK are out. And also, I think in the Action XSA and also the others that came late, okay, they were not interested, right? Obviously, by default, they know they are going to do it with the DA. And they knew that the other parties that are black parties, which is the EFF and the MK, they are not going to agree, you know? So you can see that if the video that I just played, it's what we can use, all right? It means that even though they called everyone to the table, already they have made up their minds, you know? And they knew, guys, that these parties, these two parties and others, they were not going to work with the ANC if the ANC is working with the DA. Obviously, they are out. Who is left? The DA and the ANC. And then they negotiated. They were like, you know what? Let's just bring these other guys. And then the other guys later, they changed their minds. They joined. And then it was like that. And guess what? Guess who are the people who are on top? The DA and also what? And the ANC. As you can see, guys, they are the ones who are shouting. The other parties are just quiet. They are not saying anything. They are not responding to anything. They are just quiet. You know? That is why I am saying certain things, people plan them. And if you are not noticing, you will think it's just a normal thing that usually happens. But it is something that they have calculated. You must know, guys, that all these parties, they've got their own strategic people that look at everything, look at situations. If we take this direction, it's going to be like this. If we take these two parties, it's going to be like this. You know? So we must all understand it. Let's take a listen and go on.
Invited in political parties that have no policies, no constitution. I'm saying MK. No one knows why the offices of MK. But we've invited them. The political party people voted for them. They've got 50. They're the third biggest party in South Africa. You know, they've dispositioned the EFF to number 4. They've taken the number 3 position. The EFF dropped. The MK came in. They took from the ANC. They took close to over 1 million votes from the African National Congress. Now they are players. For the fact that people voted for them, they are players. We still invited them. When they came to the table, we could not meet that demand. They come to the table where we invited them in our house. They tell us we must remove our own president in our own house. We don't agree with that. We say, okay, leave, we don't agree on these things because they have set the priorities. One, people who agree that one is that services must be delivered to our people. The constitution must be respected of South Africa. The rule of law and all systems that is due to guard the gains of democracy must be protected. And that's what we're bringing into the table. Now, they do not agree to that. They don't agree with the constitution of the country. They believe that the constitution must be suspended. Kings and whoever must be given that responsibility to run the country. We believe that's not what the ANC stands for. The ANC stands for a democratic South Africa. Then the EFF came to the table. They didn't even stay on the table because they wanted to engage with everyone. They thought they could pull the ANC to desperation and move the ANC out of power, like what they've done in 2021 and 2016, where they went out and said they'll work with the ANC. Then a day before voting for mayors and cities, they called the press briefing in Alexander and said, I'm not going to vote for it. Now, the issue about the EFF is that is the issue of them being stable as an organization. Now, the problem about the EFF is that it's not an organization driven by a constitution or a structure. I've said before, it's a cult organization led by one person. Now, if the person wakes up tomorrow and decides to change their mind, they don't have to report to any structure, unlike in the ANC. In the ANC, the negotiators must go and negotiate and come back and report back to the National Executive Committee. That's how it works. Because
Yeah, you see, I hate this thing, guys, of a person, people who are using the same thing always, is a party of a one person. Do you think in Malima's mind and in Malima's right mind, as he is a political person like this, a high profile person like Malima, do you think he can be that stupid to actually think that he can just make decisions alone? That's not possible, guys. All right? I don't think it's possible, though. Because I can tell you guys, there are people who don't actually agree with the thing of a person making it. Don't tell me that all of them, your Ndlozi, your Maute, your Shivambu, everybody there. Malima says to them, the direction is this one, the decision is this one. And we go, without asking, without hearing people like Shibambo and Ndlozi, I don't think so. I think this thing of using that the EFF, it's a party of one person, is the one who's dictating and all that. I don't think it's right, guys. If you don't know what to say about somebody or about a party, I think people need to maybe come up with another reason, not this reason. It just doesn't sit with me. Any person who says that about the EFF, I don't listen to them. Especially when it comes to the AFF, because you don't have an argument, you don't have anything you can say about them that you can discredit them. I'm just saying, people using, it's a one party, guys, come on.
We believe in internal democracy, but we also believe in democratic centralism. We believe in collective leadership. We're a structured old organization, and that's what kept the ANC going for over 100 years, because we over-consult, because we don't believe leaders are always right. Now, internally, we debate amongst ourselves. Now, with the EFF, I think mainly we would have wanted to work with the EFF, because a lot of leaders of the EFF are a generation of the ANC Youth League that are from our ranks. They speak our language, economic freedom in our lifetime, it's our language. Economic freedom now, not later, it's our language. We just wish they just become honest.
Yeah.
If they can just become honest, there'll be a better people to work with, because at least they speak our language everywhere we go. We don't differ much on it. But the problem about them is that they indicate left and go right. Now, they're not people, they'll create instability for you if you work with them, because today they think like you, tomorrow they don't think like you. Now, there is no principle or principles on that relationship. It's a relationship dependent on an emotional behavior of an individual.
Now, economic freedom fighters, that's the name. You're saying some of their policies are similar to the ones of the ANC, and obviously they're a breakaway party from the ANC. When you were campaigning, you're campaigning.
Yeah, well, I think when it comes to they say this and then they change, they say this, they change. Yeah, well, I can agree with that sometimes, not always though, okay? Sometimes, but it's not always that is happening, One of the things that I've realized about the EFF or about Malima actually and his and the party, they like to do things, they are young people, so you expect the activeness, you expect to approach things like a game in a way. You expect them, to be playful sometimes, That is why I was not so surprised when they came in and then they started to shout in parliament, chaos and everything. I expected that because they are young people, okay? They want to be vibrant. They want to show themselves that they are out there. You have to recognize them. If they are around, you will know that they are around. And if you are not recognizing them, trust me, you will end up recognizing them. Why? Because they are young people. They're still young. Okay, so I did actually see all of that, but I think when they grow, I think they're gonna be a bit. And when a person says You know, that is why we've been in 100 years in government. You didn't have a competition. That is why. If the EFF was there, maybe at the time, you know, I don't think it could have been that easy. You know, the reason why you've got 100 years is because there was nobody that was competing with you. You know, especially with Mandela and everything. Everybody was for Mandela. So you can't use that and say, 100 years, whatever. You know, I do understand that because you started governing in 94. But when 94 came, a lot of things. Well, me, guys, I want to be honest with you. I'm not going to be biased because of a party, because you like the party, I like the party, I don't like your party, and then I'm going to be pretend as if like now I have to be nasty to your party because I don't like it. No, I'm going to speak my mind in a way that I see things. If it's the party, for example, that I like, maybe, for example, let's say, I'm making an example, I'm not saying it's like that. Let's say I like Action SA, and then maybe they do something that is out of line. I'm not going to pretend as if like I don't see. No. One of the people who actually does that, it's Mr. Nkwankwa. Mr. Nkwankwa is not buying faces. They are in the GNU, right? They've got a ministry there, right? And is it a deputy? I think it's a deputy. Trust me, he said it. He said, I'm not going to buy faces. I'm going to be critical to you, and I'm going to make sure that I go for you if you are doing anything wrong. But if you are doing well, that's good. And if you are doing things that don't make sense, I'm going to come for you, which is understandable. You know, you can't be living, guys, always wanting to please a certain people. You know, you end up jumping your principles, you end up jumping on what you believe in because of somebody somewhere you want to please someone. Okay, so the EFF, when it comes to flip-flopping, I think somewhere, somehow they do that, you know, but I do understand because they are young people. You know, I also see that thing also when it comes to, but I think on him, it's a bit of energy and it's a bit of excitement. People like Gayton McKenzie and Patrick Alliance, I think it's the excitement also. The excitement is still their honeymoon. You know, things are good. They've got ministry. They are out there. They are doing their thing. And I also think that when it comes to the Miss South Africa thing, they actually pronounced very early. They should have waited, which I think Mackenzie actually did. But when it comes to Kenny Wunene, they were talking all these things, you know, especially when you see the videos on social media, you know, people talking about it, seeing a video of her father, and then you start pronouncing, start saying things, you know. I hope that they should have. I was hoping that maybe they should have waited a bit, you know, until the evidence comes up. Then you can begin talking. Unfortunately, Miss South Africa was going to happen. So anyway, you have to rush anyway. You know. So, but anyway, guys, I hope you like the video. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. You can go and watch the Hustlers Corner. We all know Spo. You can go and watch the interview there. Watch the whole thing. I hope you're going to go there and do that. Subscribe, like, share. And also when you get to his video, obviously, you know what to do, right? Thank you, Bafetu. Have a fantastic day. Sharp, sharp. That's my piece. Comment and tell me your piece. Have a great and a wonderful day. Sharp, sharp, Bafetu.